Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright, people. Review of the week time. Just a quick one before, just on screen, plug it one last time. I've got a video on this channel ready to go, probably about 9 a.m. this morning. Look there, True Crime with G-Man. We're up to over 750 subs, so we're doing well. We get that to 1,000. If I can get that to 1,000, I'll be doing pretty well. Then I will have 10,000 combined. But if you could go over there, give it a sub. I'm gonna put it. How do I say it? I'm putting so much more effort into both channels now because I need to. Simple as, I need to. I absolutely need to, and I want to as well. So please go over there, help me support that. I've got plenty in the pipeline for that one. Now, let's talk boxing. So I feel we should start with the boxer card that happened last night. And do you know something as well? I'm just so kind of like in the States tonight, right? We have obviously Andy Ruiz. This is like a final preview for that one as well. Andy Ruiz versus Ruiz Ortiz. It's crap that I can't do a watch along for it because I'm up early tomorrow. What early? I'll be up normal time, but you know what I mean. I'm not staying up till whatever time to watch Ruiz versus Ortiz. So we'll talk about that. We'll do a little preview on that at the end. I haven't had a chance to do it this week, but we'll talk about the boxer card that went on last night. And honestly, right, this card was not great. To say the least, it was really quite poor. I mean, I know Boxer they're not even a year on Sky yet. They don't have a full stable, but this was poor. This was really, really poor. I mean, there was this fight here, which was Fraser Clark versus a guy called Pansay Siskelvov, I think is how you pronounce it. Now, he was 7-0 going into this. Didn't really have an amateur background. Didn't really have anything. He was undefeated as a pro. But the guys he fought, I mean, not one of them had a winning record. Sorry, one of them had a winning record. He was 6-5. Ooh, the other one was 2-0. He beat a guy in his last fight. I'll tell you this here. He was 206 pounds, so a cruiserweight essentially, and the guy was 374 pounds. I mean, that just kind of tells you what the kind of guys he's been fighting. And he didn't want any parts of Fraser Clark. Fraser Clark was very upset about it because he even said himself, like, I shouldn't be in with this level of opponent. And he shouldn't. You know, he really shouldn't. It was an absolute... It was a joke. That really was what it was. And I think Ben Shalom at ringside in the interview after, he was kind of like, yeah, sorry about that. Obviously, Natasha Jonas got a win over Patricia Berglut, I think is how you pronounce that. That was a unification fight. Adam Aziz, and again, like, he's dropping these guys, and that guy just keeled over. You know, again, you see, Fraser Clark touched on something, right? You might not be fighting the best opponent, but get someone who's durable, who can will actually try a little bit, maybe for a round or two, to give a little bit as he's getting. But these guys are just like, where's a nice spot on the canvas I can lie down and give me money? That's kind of what it is. Dan Aziz beat Shakran Pickers, beat him on points. I'll be frank, that fight to me never really caught the fire I thought it would. And obviously the main event, Liam Smith versus Hassan Wakino. I mean, like, that fight itself was just bizarre. He went down in the fourth round, and both times he went down, it didn't appear that anything really landed. He just seemed to go down, and they said it was an injury, but then it was just, that whole card was just not great. You know, big improvements needed from Boxer and Sky. In my opinion, it was just not good. Just not good enough. And like the fights, I swear, like, I mean, there wasn't, things need to improve. That's what I gotta say. Just things need to improve, and that's where I will leave it at. They really need to improve with that. In terms of some of the fights we had last night as well, obviously El Gallo, Juan Francisco Estrada, returned to win away his last. I didn't realise it, actually. That was his first fight since the Chocolatito fight last March, and he got the win. Him and Chocolatito will have their trilogy fight on December the 3rd. It's going to be in a venue to be confirmed. I think the last one was in Vegas or was it in LA? Can't quite remember. But look, I'm looking forward to that fight. I felt that I picked Estrada, I picked El Gallo going into the rematch last year, and honestly, I thought Chocolatito. I thought Chocolatito won that fight just slightly, but it was a brilliant fight. You know, it really, really was. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, looking forward to the second one. Let's talk more about Andy Ruiz, because obviously Andy Ruiz is going in here tonight with Ruiz Ortiz, and he did it again. You know, he did it again. I'll get the weights up here. I'll just box rec, I swear to God. Like, box rec is just so flipping annoying. You know that sometimes this new box rec is just a pain. I don't like it at all. But Andy Ruiz, showing all those images of him, the new improved slimmer Andy Ruiz. He is, and box rec again, of course, wouldn't show the weights, but he's in the 260s. He's in the 260s, and again, like, is anyone even surprised that he's in the 260s? I think he was in the was he in the 250s when he fought Areola, so he's heavier again. You've Isaac Cruz versus Edwin Ramirez. That might actually be a good scrap. Ramirez normally comes to fight. Isaac Cruz is actually, he's decent. Who else is on this card? Abner Mares is on the card. Okay, thought he retired. Look, it's not a bad card. Charles Martin's on this card. I didn't know he was on this card, fighting Devin Vargas. Well, Devin Vargas isn't a good heavyweight at all. He should get the win pretty easily, actually. Devin Vargas is garbage, so he should get the win pretty easy over Devin Vargas. And obviously the main event, we have Ruiz Ortiz versus Andy Ruiz. Now, Andy Ruiz been out of the ring for a while, and this fight is like 69, 99 over in the US. Crazy. Look, if you were talking 2016 Ruiz Ortiz versus Andy Ruiz 2018, 2019, or even 2016, I'd pick Ruiz Ortiz every day of the week. I think he'd completely nullify Andy Ruiz. He'd keep him on the end of a jab. He'd outbox him, hurt him a few times, and just win a wide decision. We don't have that same Ruiz Ortiz anymore. That Ruiz Ortiz who fought Charles Martin looked absolutely terrible. I cannot stress that enough. He looked terrible against Charles Martin. It's one of the worst. It's probably the worst I've seen him. He looks as slow as molasses, easy to hit, easy to hurt, because he went down quite easy. And for me, I just think that he's there for the taking. And although Ruiz didn't look good last time out against Chris Areola, and he really didn't look good against Chris Areola, in patches there was a few good things, but he just didn't look himself in that fight. And see, here's the thing, right? If that was against someone decent, I'd be saying, okay, look, he's obviously maybe feeling the weight loss, feeling the inactivity, etc. And that guy's not too bad. But Chris Areola's retired how many times going into that fight? So, and he's looked... That was just, I'll say that was the lightest Chris Areola ever weighed in his life. But I think Andy Ruiz is going to win. I think the combinations will get to Ortiz. He won't be able to get out of the way. And I think Ruiz will stop him in the mid-rounds. That's my pick for this fight. I may do a review. Depends on what time I wake up at. But I may do a review of it tomorrow. If not, then we'll probably talk about it maybe tomorrow evening or something. We'll have a little recap on it. Maybe do a live. I don't know. We'll see. But let's have an old look-see at old boxing scene. Chris Eubank Jr. warns Conor Benn that super middleweights and heavyweights couldn't drop him. So what makes you think he can? You know, Conor Benn against Eubank. The more I think about this fight, and the more I'm kind of just playing it over, the more I'm kind of actually looking forward to it. It's weird. I would look, Conor Benn has shown decent punching power. He has, certainly at welterweight anyway. Will it carry to middleweight? I mean, it might, but Eubank Jr. has been in there, as he says there, with big punchers. And I'm telling you now, George Groves hurt Eubank a couple of times, but if Eubank is taking punches from George Groves and he's not getting knocked spark out, I really don't see what Conor Benn has to offer. You know, some people would say, oh gee, he could definitely punch. It's like, George Groves was a tremendous puncher. I don't think people give credit enough to how tremendous a puncher George. He was a tremendous puncher. Seriously, he was devastating. You know, ask Carl Froch, and Carl Froch has one of the best chins in the business. So if you're taking shots from George Groves and you're not getting knocked out, you're not well. He did touch down, to be fair, but it wasn't called a knockdown. But if you're not if they're not keeping you down, then I can't see how Conor Benn does. I really can't see how Conor Benn does. In other news, Tank Davis will fight in December. That's going to be interesting. It'd be interesting to see him and Ryan Garcia they've been going back and forth. They really, really have. They've been going back and forth. They've been calling each other out. And I would love to see Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. I really would. I hope that's the fight we get. Alexander Usyk actually spoke about what Anthony Joshua said and did post-fight. And he's quoted as saying, "I don't hold a grudge against him. He was upset. I'd be upset if I lost twice. Joshua has potential to grow. He needs to get away. He needs to get some people away from him because he's got a lot of freeloaders, aka skins. Joshua is a handsome man. Well done." Well, I agree with I agree with everything he said there. I mean, there are some people, aka skins, who are definitely just milking Anthony Joshua. Seriously, that's definitely what they are. People like that. And I think that Joshua would, look, I think it was Robert Garcia who was kind of saying like Joshua should come to America. I think Joshua needs to get out of his comfort zone, get over to America, train Robert Garcia full time, be in his stable, and just do things different. You know, there's talk of Dylan White potentially in December. I don't think it's going to be the case. I'm convinced it's going to be Daniel Dubois. We'll talk about that in a wee bit. But Joshua needs to just get away from all the people in his team, get out of his comfort zone, and go over, new team in America, Robert Garcia, train with him, and see how being outside the comfort zone. And as well as that, you know, Anthony Joshua is a celebrity in the UK. He's a massive celebrity. He's not so much a celebrity in the US. So it may be a situation where he may actually have the freedom to be able to just move around, like be in a camp and just move around without people saying selfie, Joshua, selfie. Because he's not going to be as well known in America. He's not well known in America. So maybe it would give Anthony Joshua a newfound freedom. And I genuinely think him going to America to work, at least with one camp with Garcia, would help him massively. I really do. I think it would help him massively. I really do think it would do that. In terms of Joshua's next move, you know, I would love to see the Wilder fight. And people have been asking me, gee, do you think it'll happen? Shelley Finkel said that they're open to fighting Anthony Joshua. It depends. It really depends mentally what Joshua feels he needs. If he needs a break or a comeback fight, or if he feels he needs redemption, the real redemption is with Deontay, we're open to it. I hope that fight does happen. I suspect, though, that Team Wilder will make it difficult. Not that they're afraid of Anthony Joshua, but I suspect that they will put in a lot of requests, and I just think that Team Joshua will just say, look, we want to make this fight, but these requests are stupid, and we're not giving you, like, I would imagine there'd be some bizarre ones. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see Joshua Wilder. Even now, I think it's a tremendous fight. A lot of people were saying that they feel it kind of seems like you either feel it's going to be a guaranteed win for Joshua or a guaranteed win for Wilder. Me personally, I picked Deontay Wilder, but I could definitely see how AJ does it. I think it'd be still a cagey fight. I think both guys would be very wary of each other's power, and I think both guys would fight a very cautious fight. But I just see AJ's guard I just see Wilder being able to shoot that right hand down that guard, and I think he'd give AJ a lot of problems. That's what I'm thinking. But look, I love the idea of Wilder versus Joshua. I absolutely do. I think it's a tremendous fight. If they could make that, I'd be so happy. Obviously, Dylan White was at the Sky show that was on yesterday, and he was interviewed by Sky, and he said that his next fight will be in November, possibly early December, but announcements due this week. I believe it's going to be Daniel Dubois. I'm convinced that it's going to be him, and I think we're just waiting for a formal announcement on that. But Coogan and IFL interviewed him, and they said, look, Joshua said he'd be open to the rematch. Eddie Hearn said he wants Joshua in there against whoever, but would you be open to it? And he said yes. So potentially there's a Dylan White rematch there if it's a more lucrative fight for Dylan White in December. And, I think with Anthony Joshua, that's a great fight to train Robert Garcia in the States, and then obviously build on that going into 2023. It's not the end for Anthony Joshua by no stretch. And him against Wilder, I'd love that fight. I'd love to see it. I think every boxing fan listening would love to see that fight. And another fight we'd all love to see, and it doesn't seem to be well, not that it's not happening, but there's no announcement. Where is Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford? It's now the month of September. We're nearly at the end of the year. We've been hearing for the last 2 or 3 months now that this fight is near, this fight is near, this fight is near. Well, it may be near, but we ain't had any announcement. So it's near, but it seems every bit as far. What's the deal with Crawford Spence? When are we going to get an announcement on this? When are we going to get it? We've seen Spence, a little meme went out with him putting things in the trolley, and he was ticking off Kell Brook, it ticked off Sean Porter, it ticked off your Dennis Ugas. Terence Crawford is last on that list. I want to see this fight. So what is the deal with Spence and Crawford? Because honestly, you say to me, gee, here's 3 fights for you, right? Crawford Spence, Wilder Joshua, Fury Usyk. Which one of them is the one you want to see most? Crawford Spence. Every day of the week. Every day of the week. Crawford Spence. Crawford Spence, definitely. Now, this is going to sound strange, but for one of the very few times I've ever agreed with Tony Bellew, at the start of his career, I was led to believe that Tommy Fury was a very serious prospect. It's all about cashing out. KSI, Jake Paul, to be fair, is probably the best move considering his ability. He's a bank job. He's doing a bank job on boxing, and that's fine. One of the few times I've agreed with Tony Bellew, he said that on the DAZN boxing show, Tommy Fury looked pretty damn garbage from the get-go. And went on Love Island. There was talk after he went off Love Island, and of course I get something caught in my throat just as I start talking. I think that's cleared it. But there was talk after Love Island that he was giving up on boxing and just going down the celebrity road. And look, when you hear stories like that, it does lend a bit of credence. And with the way Tommy Fury's been, you get the impression that he really is in it just for the fame. Like, that's all he wants. He wants the bit of fame. He loves the fame of boxing, the fame of being in the spotlight without getting hit in the face. That seems to be just the way it is. And the fights against Jake Paul, KSI, yeah, looks like they're just cash out fights to me, from the outside looking in. And I think that that's the level he's at. Seriously, like Tommy Fury, if they went serious with him and started matching him, stepping him up, he's going to lose badly. And imagine, he was paid 11 grand for one of his fights in 2021. I think it was the fight that was on the was it the Jake Paul Woodley card. 11 grand. And that's the funny thing. He got paid 11 grand, but then he was saying, I wouldn't get out of bed for 500 grand. It's like, will you get out of bed for 11 grand then, Tommy, will you? Alright, makes sense of that. Thank you. Floyd Mayweather going back down the exhibition roads, fighting the guy Mikura Ascuri in Japan, September 25th, pay-per-view. Ho ho ho! Fight TV are reaching for this one, lads. $17.99, 18 quid to see Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition. I think I'll be passing on that, just to say. Tyson Fury, now Usyk, I meant to say it as well. Alexander Usyk, he declared that the Tyson Fury fight won't be happening. Not that it won't be happening next, but he has a slight injury. So the December date with him and Tyson Fury isn't going to happen. It's going to more than likely be next year. But Tyson Fury has declared that he will announce his next fight next week. Alexander Usyk has stated he doesn't want to fight me anymore. He wants to fight next year, not this year. So I'm not going to wait around for anybody. I'm going to be announcing a fight next week. So hang on a second. Let me. He said that Alexander doesn't want to fight me anymore. Or doesn't want to fight anymore. He wants to fight next year. So he wants to fight. Just not right now because he's injured. So how does he not want to fight then? So he said he's going to have a fight announced next week. I mean, okay. He's got no mandatories, but who is it going to be? Thursday, the next fight will take place in the UK before the end of the year. Whoever Frank Warren gets, I'll defend my WBC title against. They're all bums anyway. He's also declared that he still believes the Anthony Joshua fight can happen in the future. I think people would like to see this fight. So if Alexander Usyk doesn't want to fight for whatever reason, then let's go offer AJ to fight. Honestly, like, I'd say Fury would absolutely, like, Joshua Fury is still a big fight now. And I'm sure Frank Warren would be like, Joshua, let's make that fight. I don't think they would. I don't think Eddie Hearn would, but that fight is still absolutely massive. He also revealed the reason he vacated the Ring Magazine belt is so he can become a 3-time Ring Magazine belt holder by beating Alexander Usyk. He would also share that record with Muhammad Ali, who was the only other man to achieve it. Interesting. So that's the reason why apparently he vacated. He wants 3 titles. He wants to equal Muhammad Ali's record. Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah, look, whoever they've put Tyson Fury in there with, that could be just front. I suspect that his next fight will be against Alexander Usyk. And again, like, I'd be surprised. Would you risk? Let's say risk. I mean, they probably wouldn't take someone in the top. Well, let's have a look. See, let's just hypothetically say Tyson Fury does have a voluntary. Let's say WBC heavyweight rankings. Who could they get from the top 10? Let's have an old look-see. So obviously we got, where are we at? That's the ring. So WBO, we got WBC. Where's WBC? Alright, WBC. Wilder number 1, not going to happen. I don't particularly want to see a 4th Wilder fight. Joyce Parker, ain't going to happen. Frank Sanchez number 4, that could be tricky. Very tricky for Tyson Fury. Ruiz, ain't going to happen. Makdamov, no, I doubt it. White, not going to happen. Already fought him. He lost. White lost, I should say. Ortiz, not going to happen. Valine, really want to see another Valine rematch. As competitive as it was, I don't know if I want to see that. Helene's, although saying that, a Valine rematch, that'd be good preparation for Usyk, to be fair. Actually, that'd be a very good preparation for Usyk. I know he's not quite as tall, Alexander Usyk, but still. Hellenius, now he's fighting Wilder. Bacoli, alright, that's interesting. Yeah, Bacoli potentially. Kosabuchi, doubt it. Hunter, well, he's fighting Fury, but just a different Fury. Hrgovic, I mean, after that performance against Zhilei Zhang, I'd say there'd be a good few actually clamouring for Hrgovic, to be fair. And Ajay Kabayel in at number 15. So it'd have to be from one of them. I'd say, look, I wouldn't go near Frank Sanchez. Not that I'd probably still pick Tyson Fury, but it's a risk you don't need to take. In terms of down the card, I mean, you've got obviously Hrgovic, Valine. If he was, just say if he is fighting someone pre-Usyk, have an interim fight, I think that out of Valine rematch. I was thinking I didn't really want to see it, but like stylistically, Southpaw, not the biggest puncher, throws a good few shots. You'd be able to see how far you've come in the last 3 years since you fought him last. That'd be an interesting scrap, to be fair. Be great preparation for Alexander Usyk, because bear in mind, when he fought Valine, he was trained by Ben Davis and he's with Javon Sugar Hill now, so it'll be interesting to see how the Sugar Hill style is translated to Tyson Fury, you know, in the immediate time, because it was after that fight John Fury stated that he knew Ben Davison wasn't the guy for the job. I also seen someone sent me this clip, and have a look on screen. Billy Joe Saunders is back in sparring. Now, I done that video obviously during the week where I asked what's the deal with Billy Joe Saunders, when is he going to come back, and then that clip was sent to me. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Billy Joe Saunders looks, so there's people talking about a December comeback. I mean, you're going to be talking about light heavyweight, but you're not talking about middleweight or super middleweight. He looks still way out of shape there. I can't see look, people have been saying Billy Joe Saunders coming back, and he said it himself, but it's just like, I can't see it. You know, he really only wants the big money fights, and he's way out of shape. Even against someone who you'd expect him to beat, I wouldn't trust him, just based upon he's so irregular with how his performances are. He looks so out of shape there. He doesn't look like he wants to be anywhere near a boxing ring. I know he's sparring there, but in terms of him coming back and actually making a go of it, I can't see it. I really can't see Billy Joe doing it. I think the only way he'd come back is if he knew he had a guaranteed Canelo rematch, or if he knew he had a guaranteed shot at Eubank or Triple G or someone like that. Other than that, I can't see Billy Joe making a go of a comeback. I mean, really, and looking at the way he looks there, I'm like, that he's not coming back. Man, he ain't coming back anytime soon. I can't see it. Certainly not by December. I'd be amazed if he comes back in December and is even... If he's even 40% of what he was against Canelo, I'd be absolutely amazed. Amazed. I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, we'll talk more tomorrow about Andy Ruiz Ortiz. And for now, people, I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, we've been a lot busier this last week. I'm glad to be getting back into doing things more regularly after the... Last week was the week from hell. It really was. It was an absolute horrible week. I had so much shit go on that... We're getting there, we're getting there, and I think it's all going to be good in the end. Well, I'll probably end up looking back at last week and just saying, God almighty, I worried about nothing, because I think everything comes good in the end. And obviously we've got the True Crime channel back up and running. We have this going strong. I've got plenty planned for this week. Obviously 3 reasons why Fury beats Usyk. I've got a WTF video planned this week, so hush hush. We'll talk about that, and yeah, I have a lot of good stuff planned this week, so watch the space. We're still on course. 10k by the end of the year. We're going to do it. No questions asked. No issues. Smash the like button, people. I appreciate you all dropping in. I hope we all have a great week. Hope it's an excellent one for everyone involved.